All right, so next, in talking about angles of a circle, we have an angle that is formed from two secant lines. So we have two lines that have cut through the circle to form an angle that is outside the circle. So this is a circumscribed angle instead of an inscribed angle. And so here's the angle right here. And what we have is a big intercepted arc and a little intercepted arc. A big intercepted arc and a little intercepted arc. So I'm going to go ahead and label each of these. Big and little. And here is the formula. You're going to take the measure of the big arc, and you're going to subtract off the measure of the little arc, and you're going to divide that by 2, and that gives you the measure of the angle. So the big arc minus the little arc divided by 2 gives you the measure of the angle. So here's some examples. We're going to say the measure of the big arc minus the measure of the little arc divided by 2. So 90 minus 20 is 70. 70 divided by 2 is 35. So the measure of the angle is 35 degrees. All right? On this one, instead of being two secant lines, this time we have two tangent lines, but it works the same. So if this, I'm going to go ahead and draw it so you can see it this time. The big arc starts at this point of tangency and ends at this point of tangency. So there's the big arc, that's 240. So we're going to do 360 minus 240, and we're going to get 120. So the little arc is from the point of tangency to the point of tangency, but it's on the inside, and it's the rest of the circle. It's that 120. So we're going to do 240 minus 120 divided by 2. 240 minus 120 is 120, divided by 2 is 60. So that angle right there is a 60-degree angle. All right, let's move on to the next one. So in the next one, we have two chords in a circle that intersect each other. So two chords that intersect each other. Again, we have two arcs. Instead of being worried about which one's bigger, which one's smaller, we're just going to call them arc 1 and arc 2. It doesn't matter what their sizes are. So arc 1 and arc 2. I'm just going to go ahead and label this one 1, this one 2. And then we have the angles on the inside. These are called vertical angles. They're actually going to be the exact same angle measurement. All right. So here's the formula for this. We're going to say the measure of arc 1 plus the measure of arc 2. Again, we're dividing by 2 equals the measure of the angle. All right, so for this first one, we're going to say 70 degrees plus 116 degrees divided by 2. And that gives you 93 degrees. All right, this one a little bit more interesting because the x that we're solving for is actually over here. So we're going to say 160 degrees plus x degrees divided by 2. That actually ends up equaling 120. So what I'm going to do to solve this one is I'm going to take the 2 that I divided by, I'm going to multiply it to the other side. So I'm going to say times 2 times 2. So 160 plus x equals 240. Then I can go ahead and subtract 160. 240 subtract 160, x equals 80. So that means this must have been 80. All right, and I'll go ahead and leave the last example for each of those for us to talk about in class tomorrow, just so we can make sure that we understand what was happening in the video.